And here we are again. We're at 1 Kings chapter 7, verse 48. Actually, it was 49. And the lampstands of pure gold, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left, before the Holy of Holies, with the flowers and the lamps and the tongs of gold. And the bowls and the snuffers and the basins and the spoons and the censers of pure gold. Notes. There was only one golden lampstand in the tabernacle, but there are 10, 5 on each side. As well, there were 10 tables of shewbread, 5 on each side, according to 2 Chronicles chapter 4, verse 8. All of these, including the altar of incense, were in the holy place, which was immediately in front of the Holy of Holies. In fact, as it regards the main structure of the temple, there were only 2 rooms, the holy place and the Holy of Holies. I'll go ahead and just read verse 50. And the bowls and the snuffers and the basins and the spoons and the censers of pure gold, rereading it of course, and the hinges of gold, both for the doors of the inner house, the most holy place, and for the doors of the house, to wit, of the temple. So was ended all the work that King Solomon made for the house of the Lord, and Solomon brought in the things which David his father had dedicated. Even the silver and the gold and the vessels did he put among the treasures of the house of the Lord. Notes. Well, it seems that all the precious metal that David had prepared was not absorbed in the construction of the temple. There would seem to have been a considerable surplus which was stored in the temple treasury. And turning the page, chapter 8 now. Kind of took me a bit by surprise, but here we go. Then Solomon assembled the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes, the chief of the fathers of the children of Israel, unto King Solomon in Jerusalem, that they might bring up the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of the city of David, which is Zion. Notes. It's going to take a little while. The 8th chapter here portrays the dedication of the temple and also prefigures the origination of worship in the coming kingdom age. Apparently, a year would lapse between the completion of the temple and its dedication. This great event would occur in the year of Jubilee during the Feast of Tabernacles and in connection with the Great Day of Atonement. The Feast of Trumpets, which was a type in Jewish history of the rapture of the church, would be extended to last for some 7 days. This would be followed by the Great Day of Atonement, which prefigures the cleansing of Israel at the beginning of the Kingdom Age. Then following the Great Day of Atonement was the Feast of Tabernacles, which within itself symbolizes the Kingdom Age. Now these 3 great Jewish feast days have not yet been fulfilled in their typology. This will be fulfilled when the great millennial temple is built, as is recorded in Ezekiel chapters 40 through 48, of which Solomon's temple was a type. All of this took place in the month of October. Now, for many years, over 100 to be a bit more exact, the Ark of the Covenant and the tabernacle had been separated. The tabernacle was now at Gibeon with the other of its holy vessels, while the Ark of the Covenant was elsewhere in Jerusalem. I don't think I have to go to any great length to explain that this was not the will of God. Verse 2. And all the men of Israel assembled themselves unto King Solomon at the feast in the month Ethanim, which is in the 7th month, which coordinates with our October. And all the elders of Israel came, and the priests took up the ark. Notes. Now the priests alone were to set apart to carry the ark. That's in Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 8. Solomon therefore did not make the mistake David had made by seeking to bring it to Jerusalem on a cart. Verse 4. And they brought up the ark of the Lord and the tabernacle of the congregation and all the holy vessels that were in the tabernacle, even those did the priests and the Levites bring up. Notes. Now, as far as we know, none of these vessels, with the exception of the Ark of the Covenant, were used, and they were simply preserved as treasures of the past and placed in the treasury, or what you would actually call maybe a side chamber, if you will. Verse 5. And King Solomon and all the congregation of Israel that were assembled unto him were with him before the ark, sacrificing sheep and oxen that could not be told nor numbered for multitude. Notes: the sacrifice of all of these animals proclaims the fact that despite the gold and glamour of the great temple, the most expensive structure ever built, still, Calvary was the foundation for everything, of which all of these sacrifices were a type. The cross has always been the foundation for pretty much everything. Verse 6, and the priest brought in the ark of the covenant of the Lord unto his place, into the oracle of the house, to the most holy place, even under the wings of the cherubims. Notes: now these were the two huge cherubims that were made of olive wood and overlaid with gold. Their wingspan spread from one wall to the other. The two wings covering the ark were the inner wings of the cherubim that touched each other in the center of the room. Each cherubim had two sets of wings, with the outside wings reaching to the back wall, and the front set of wings reaching forward, touching the wings of the opposite cherubim. Now the wing spread of each of these was about 15 feet, and the ark rested underneath all of this. You can do a study. What is it that I'm trying to think of? There's this guy, Perry something or other. Perry Stone is what I think his name is. He does an excellent presentation. You can find it on DVD somewhere, and it explains the tabernacle and the temple far better than I could ever do. Anyways, we're at verse 7. Go ahead and order that if you could ever find it. I'm going to as soon as I can. Verse 7. For the cherubims spread forth their two wings over the place of the ark, and the cherubims covered the ark and the staves thereof above. Notes: the ark of the covenant rested in complete darkness under the outstretched wings of these cherubims. God dwelt here between the cherubims and the mercy seat, which in effect was the lid of the ark. Continuing. And they drew out the staves, that the ends of the staves were seen out in the holy place before the oracle, and they were not seen without. And there they are unto this day. Notes: the two staves which went into the rings on either side of the ark were partially taken out, so that the ends could be seen from the holy place, which was the room immediately in front of the Holy of Holies, but not from the porch outside the holy place. This way the ark never needed to be handled, as the staves could easily be put back into the rings without even ever touching the ark. It seems that it was unlawful to take them wholly out of the rings. Pulling the staves out so the ends could be seen indicated the ark had found its resting place in the temple and was not to be carried any more. It had a permanent house, not a tent as before. Well, unfortunately, it didn't actually stay that way as would have been intended. But anyways, verse 9. There was nothing in the ark save the two tables of stone, which would be the 10 Commandments, which Moses put there at Horeb some 500 years before, when the Lord made a covenant with the children of Israel when they came out of the land of Egypt. Notes: in Hebrews chapter 9, verse 4, Paul mentions the golden pot of manna and Aaron's rod being in the ark. Well, he was speaking of the ark while in the tabernacle instead of in the temple. It is not known when these two things were removed. It was either by the Philistines when they had the ark, or when the events of 1 Samuel chapters 5 and 6 took place. But at any rate, whatever did happen, God did not allow these two tables of stone containing the 10 Commandments to be taken. And there's a pretty obvious reason for this. Aaron's rod and the pot of manna were types of Christ, which in type would not be necessary with the advent of Christ himself. However, the 10 Commandments were a type of the Word of God, which endures forever. For the law of God was hidden in the Messiah's heart, Psalms chapter 119, verse 11, as it was actually hidden in the ark. The law will be the basis and rule of righteousness, which will govern the millennium in the coming kingdom age. And we will pick up in chapter 8, verse 10 of the book of 1 Kings. Thank you, and God bless.